I remember back in 2019 when Ice Cube presented a plan to both political parties, an economic plan to improve the lives of black people and black community. The Democrats responded by saying, we'll talk to you after the election. And Trump responded by incorporating some of the ideas within Ice Cube's plan with his own platform for 2020 if he had won. And for Ice Cube's reward for at least bringing a salient plan, some sort of working plan to President Trump, all he got was this.
And I just been on this quest trying to get us true equality, not just equality on, social issues, but economic equality, which is, just as important.
Look at the faces of these people. The man had an actual plan that not just included social issues, which I don't think the government could solve anyway. He actually had an economic plan, which you haven't heard any politician, black, white, or whatever, approach the black community with. So, but everyone looks kind of upset with him because he spoke to Trump. So that's what he got for presenting his plan to both sides again, and only one showed any interest. So they're mad at him for going to Trump. On the other hand, who did the Democrats and Biden actually embrace eventually? Yep. Cardi B. Let's have a moment to listen.
Want free Medicare. And this is why it's important to have free Medicare, because look what's happening right now. You see why we should have been have free Medicare for a long time. I, of course, think that we need free college education. That's second.
See, free Medicare, free college education, all that expands the size of the government. Ice Cube's plan does not. It empowers the community. So that's why the Democrats embraced one, rejected the other. That's not a surprise to anyone. So, but if you saw Biden's latest invite to the White House, this guy makes Cardi B's her interview with Biden, like she was Ruth Bader Ginsburg in comparison. So let's check it out. Hello everyone, this is Keith. Welcome to the Ghetto Sapien channel, your home of inner city intelligence. So, it's 2022. Biden's been in 2 years now. The whole Cardi B, Ice Cube thing's in a rearview mirror. So, after 2 years, what do we have to show for it? What's going on today? Let's see. Okay, so you might not have heard, but in the inflation rate is at, I think, a 40-year high, or at least, about a 40-year high. So it's 8.5. So they were from 8.25 to 8.5%. That's sky high. Gas is on a rise again. We're headed towards $4 a gallon easily, on average. Crime is way out of control. They're shoving people on tracks in New York City. Some poor canvasser for Governor DeSantis in Florida got pummeled for being in the wrong neighborhood in the wrong time, wearing the wrong shirt saying he's a Republican. So we got, again, out of control crime and violence in the cities, mostly blue cities. Before I forget, even Biden himself says we are closer to setting off World War III and a nuclear catastrophe than we were during the Bay of Pigs back when JFK was in office. So that's what we got currently going around, and there's more, in October 2022, 2 years into Biden's reign. But you wouldn't be able to tell that world's on fire by looking at who Biden is choosing to spend his precious time with. Because let's face it, it's not like home dude is up and awake and aware all day long and he's putting in long hours. I think Biden's good to 15-minute sprints, and that's it. And maybe he's good for about 2 or 3 of those a day. So he spent one of those 15 minutes of lucidity with this guy.
To go deeper into this issue, here with us today is Dylan Mulvaney, who's welcomed us into her life by, showing on social media her Girlhood series. Let's take a look.
Mr. President, this is my 220.
They skipped the Girlhood series, by the way, because if you ever saw it, and maybe I'll do a clip on it a little bit later this week, to me it's a mockery of women. And probably, who knows, maybe he's making fun of trans people as well. But he's definitely making fun of women. He's running through the hiking with high heels on. He's being very silly. He probably doesn't even like women all that much. But this guy is, to me, it's the equivalent of blackface. He's reducing women to a performance. And I think some women are insulted. And to be honest, it's about time. I think what he's doing is degrading to women altogether. He's a guy, for God's sakes. He and some other bearded guy did a podcast for Ulta. I think it's Ulta, yeah. Makeup. And it's two guys talking about putting on women's makeup. I mean, women have like no place of their own anymore. It's being invaded by weirdos like this guy. But all right, well, sorry, got off on a little tangent. Let's let Mr. Mulvaney continue.
21st day of publicly transitioning.
God love it.
Thank you. I am extremely privileged.
Biden has no idea what this guy is or what's going on. They just sit him in a chair, may give him a couple of talking points. But Biden's like 900 years old. Does anyone really believe he's had encounters with trans people like all his life, or knows what they're about, or even has time to sit down and study the wants and needs and the lifestyle of this group of people? Doubtful. This is all just a distraction, to be honest. Let's continue.
To live in a state that allows me access to the resources I need, and that decision is just between me and my doctors. But many states have lawmakers that feel like they can involve themselves in this very personal process. Do you think states should have a right to ban gender-affirming health care?
See, and here's the deal. A couple of things going on here. First of all, what is gender-affirming health care? It boils down to puberty blockers and genital mutilation, if you ask me, because they have radical mastectomies for young women. They remove their breast material for young boys. They remove their male genitalia and try their best to turn it into a female genitalia, and vice versa for girls. Now, the thing is, it leaves them sterile, at the very least. They'll never be able to reproduce. And I don't think studies have shown that it doesn't really help them with their ability to cope with their delusion, yes, that they were born in a wrong body. And look, no matter how many drugs this guy takes, no matter what kind of quackery he allows to happen to his own body, he's still going to have an XY chromosome. His blood will still be that of a male because he's still a guy. His bone structure will be still masculine. He has, a high amount of testosterone in his body. He's a guy. He's confused, but he's a guy. And Biden is playing right into this. Again, Biden has no idea what's going on. So gender-affirming healthcare is just butchering and sterilizing children, in my opinion. Now, no one cares what Mulvaney does as an adult with his money and with his time. If he wants to find a doctor who's going to change his plumbing, go for it. I don't think anyone cares about that. What this is, where the pushback comes in, is when these groups go after children and try to confuse them about their gender. Youngsters have a hard enough time growing up in this world without adults being able to be there to guide them, and they can trust the adults who make decisions for them, because kids, their brains aren't even fully formed until I believe early 20s, so their decision-making abilities are limited. And these adults take advantage of them and confuse them and allow them to do harm to themselves. That is what people are upset about, adults like myself. That's what we'd like to stop. That's what we want legislators to come in and write laws to not allow children who can't even get a tattoo at this age to have their genitals removed or swapped or turned inside out. It's something ridiculous. And Biden, I think, is a disgusting human being for encouraging this and trying to turn this into a political issue. It's a mental health issue, not a health care issue as like someone has cancer or something like that.
I don't think any state or anybody should have the right to do that as a moral question and as a legal question. I just think it's wrong.
I can't believe he made this a moral question, and he's on the wrong side of it. Again, I don't know if Biden even knows what the hell he's talking about. At this point, he's just, I think this whole thing is really a distraction from what's going on. It's a shallow attempt to distract people from what the 401k looks like, what's going on in Europe, how we're going to probably have food shortages coming up. That's what farmers are predicting. I'll continue a little more of this, and then I'm going to end it because it's just it's a waste of time.
You know, I think I was saying before we started that my son, my deceased son, used to be the Attorney General of the state of Delaware. He passed the broadest piece of legislation.
You ever notice that Biden always makes it about his dead son? He talks, it doesn't matter what it is, he's going to throw Bo into it. And meanwhile, you got Ashley and Hunter. He never talks about them whatsoever. He talks about his dead son. I don't even know how an attorney general passes a law or writes a law or signs a law, broad or whatever broad, or not broad, about trans or any issue, because that's just not their power. But Biden, again, tries to make it about him. No, even on this issue of transgendered confusion.
He, as Attorney General, was able to convince the legislature and the governor to sign that dealt with all gender affirming capability. I mean, there's a lot of, sometimes they try to block you from being able to access certain medicines, being able to access certain procedures, and so on. None of that should be available.
All right, that's enough of that. Biden is he's starting to lose it midway through the interview. It was just more rambling, more sophistry. Again, he has no clue what he's talking about. I don't think he cares about this issue. He just doesn't want to talk about inflation, the economy, crime, war going on around the world, food shortages. He wants to talk about anything else, and there are no polls showing that this trans issue is on the top of anyone's mind. What the left is trying to do with the trans issue is, it's like the immigration issue. They combine, they intentionally use just the word immigrants. They don't distinguish between illegal immigration and legal immigration. They know people are against illegal immigration. My family, I'm born to legal immigrants to this country, so I have nothing but respect for people who come here and go through the legal process. I'm married to a legal immigrant. She's now an American citizen, like my parents were. Nothing against that whatsoever. I just don't like illegal immigration. I know a lot of legal immigrants who are way more militant than I am about it. But what the Democrats try and do, and the left and the establishment does, they just combine it all together. So if you're against illegal immigration, they're just saying you're against immigrants altogether. Well, they're doing the same thing with trans. What adults do with their time and their money, I don't care. I don't think most people care either. And to be honest, I think even the trans community, I think a lot of people really, at their heart, want to be left alone. It's the activists who try and make this a political issue and divide people. I think that's why Biden even picked this guy to interview. I'm sure there's other trans people who are out there he could have interviewed who are less controversial. This guy seems to be making a performance and a fool out of himself. If you ever watch his videos, I've seen one or two. He's not, it's not even like a a guy's version, like what I would envision a woman is like or a girl is like. It's an exaggerated, goofy, utterly stupid version of a woman. I think is insulting to women. But if they don't say anything, whatever. But I personally think it's insulting. So what people are upset about is, again, when the activists try and indoctrinate children into gender confusion. That's where people get upset. That's where they draw the line. So when you involve children, you got a problem. When it's between adults, no one cares. But they try and say if you don't like the fact that they're trying to groom children, and they hate that word groomer, but that's what's going on, then you don't like gays, you don't like trans people, you don't like anyone. And again, that's just how they try and make it so the topic becomes verboten. You're not allowed to talk about it. You can't defend people coming at your children. I think people are drawing the line, though. When you come after people's kids, they don't really give a crap what you think. You could think they're homophobic, transphobic, F you. No one cares. Just don't touch my kid. So I think it's backfiring. And I think people can see through Biden's attempt to divide and conquer again, to try and split people left and right over this issue, this trans issue. Not going to work. We need to get talking about the economy again and ignore this issue. And I've already given it more than enough time. But that's my comment. What's yours? Like, share, comment, and subscribe.